PhatPhish Guitar Studio. I'm Dave, and in this video I'm going to be doing a little bit of work on this guitar. It's my Fender 60s Baja Telecaster. Had this guitar for a few years now. I really like it. Tellies are just great anyway, but this one with having the Baja switching on, it's an incredibly versatile guitar, very useful. The only thing I'm not such a huge fan of is the colour. This one is finished in a colour called Faded Sonic Blue, which is a little less common in the Fender catalogue. Sonic Blue is quite a soft pastel sort of shade anyway, but the Faded Sonic Blue, a lot of people think this is white actually. It doesn't show up too well on camera sometimes. So you've got the Faded Sonic Blue and the mint green scratch plate. They work well together, but to me it's a little bit anemic looking. I think I could do a little bit more colour. So what I'm going to do is swap the scratch plate that's on with this replacement tortoiseshell one, because I like a tortoiseshell scratch plate, as you probably can tell from my custom shop Strat there. So what I'm going to do is put this guitar on the bench and I'll show you what's involved, because it's a fairly easy job. This is the thing with guitars like this, they're just component parts, it's quite easy to swap things over. Scratch plate replacement on a telly, very straightforward, you could easily do this yourself, but there's a couple of things you need to be aware of so you don't get caught out. So let's go and get the guitar on the bench and I'll show you what's involved. Okay, so we've got the guitar on the bench. As always, if you're working on a hard surface, put a towel or a mat or something to protect the guitar from getting scratched off the workbench, and also if you're doing this like on your dining room table or something, it stops the table getting damaged off the back of the guitar. So first thing we need to do is take the scratch plate off. So all we need for that is a screwdriver. Now I said there's a couple of things you need to be aware of with scratch plates for Telecasters, things you might get caught out. This is a really easy replacement, but you need to make sure that you're using the right scratch plate to replace the one that you've got. First thing to look for is the number of screws. So this being based on the 60s Telecaster, it's the 8 screw scratch plate. Some of the older ones from the 50s only had 5. So if you're buying a replacement scratch plate, make sure you get the one with the right number of holes, and ideally get one that's the manufacturer says it's definitely going to be compatible with Fender, because sometimes the screw hole placement is a little bit off. The one I've got isn't Fender, it's a Fender pattern one from a supplier that I've used before, and they're really good. I've had scratch plates from them for other guitars and they always match the Fender screw holes pretty exactly. So like I said, the number of screw holes matters if you've got a 5-hole or an 8-hole scratch plate. And the easy way to tell is if there's a screw there in the middle, it'll be an 8-hole one. If there's not one, it's a 5. So let's get cracking and just go around with the screwdriver and take these screws off. Now the easiest way to do this is with the strings off the guitar, but these are reasonably fresh strings and I don't want to sacrifice them just for a job like this. So I'm going to work a little bit carefully and do this while the strings are still on the guitar. Okay, so that's all the screws off the scratch plate. I'm just going to get a fingernail underneath there and lift it up and just slide that out underneath the strings. So there we go. Before I put the other scratch plate on, let's take a really quick look at what's going on in here. There's just a couple of interesting things to point out here. So you can see the pickup and the wire going through to the control cavity, and just interest. Normally you only expect to see 2 wires here because this is the Baja Telly and it's got that tricked out wiring. There's actually 3 wires. And if you look at the pickups here, you can see that it's the neck pickup is directly mounted into the guitar body, so the pickup mounting screws here are actually wood screws direct into the guitar body itself. That's why, so looking at the scratch plate, you can see there aren't any screw holes next to the pickup because we don't need them. If you've got a later model Telecaster, the pickups actually mount from the scratch plate, so that's the other thing you need to be aware of when you buy a replacement scratch plate. Do you want one with holes or without for mounting the neck pickup? And if you're curious as to what that little hole is, or a little pair of holes, that's part of the manufacturing process. That's I think support for the body when it's on the jig being painted, and the number of holes or the shape of the holes kind of tells you where it's come from. So this has come from the Mexican plant, so this is the sort of the telltale sign that it's a Mexican body. Something like the American bodies might have only one hole or no holes. The idea is the number of holes, if you like, the more holes there are, the less prestigious the body is. So it's basically just to identify what's an American body or what's a Mexican body, and it's to stop people passing one off as the other. And so I've got the replacement scratch plate here with the right number of holes and no pickup mounting holes because I don't need them. And I'm just going to slide that carefully under the strings and into position. Okay, so now it's simply a case of getting the screwdriver and screwing this back into place. One other thing I'll quickly mention is just getting a bit nerdy about the type of scratch plate material. This is a tortoiseshell scratch plate, as you can see from the pattern on the front. It's not entirely vintage correct. This is a 3-ply scratch plate, so the top layer is the tortoiseshell material, then there's a layer of white, then there's a layer of black. The vintage correct stuff is actually 4-ply. For comparison, here's a photograph of the scratch plate on my custom shop Strat. So this is a vintage correct scratch plate from Fender Custom Shop. As you can see, it's a 4-ply one. It's tortoiseshell on top, and then, well, it's not quite white, it's gone off white because it's a relic, but then you've got the light coloured layer, the black layer, and then next to the guitar body there's that fourth layer, there's another white layer. So it's just a cosmetic detail. To be honest, from any sort of distance you can't really tell. Okay, so that's that. Right, well, I'm really pleased with how this turned out. As you can see, it was a fairly straightforward thing to do, didn't take a whole lot of time, and just gives the guitar a splash of colour, and I think this is going to help sort of inspire me. I've always enjoyed picking up this guitar, but this is kind of just giving it a lift, and I'm going to really enjoy playing this guitar even more. As I've mentioned, this is a third party, so it's a non-Fender scratch plate, so the main piece of advice I would give you is if you're buying a replacement scratch plate, whether it's for telly, Strat, anything at all, always make sure that the manufacturer or the people selling it to you make some sort of guarantee that it's directly compatible with your guitar, whether it's, if it's a Fender or a Gibson or whatever. Some manufacturers, whether they're maybe a bit sloppy in the manufacturing process or they're trying to avoid legal issues, they position screws in slightly different places, so it might not be a direct fit onto your guitar. But plenty of people do make scratch plates that are guaranteed to be 100% compatible with Fender or Gibson or whoever. Okay, I hope you found that interesting and maybe it's inspired you to do a little bit of a facelift on your own guitar. If you enjoyed the video, please click like down there. If you really enjoyed it and you want to see other videos that I post on the channel, then please click subscribe down there, and also click on the bell icon so you're notified when I upload new videos or go live. I occasionally do live streams on YouTube as well. You're welcome to leave a comment, but I don't always see comments left on videos, so if you've got a specific question you want to ask me, whether it's about guitars, playing guitar, music theory, anything at all, if you go here, fill that form in, send your question in, I'm guaranteed to see it and get around to answering your question in a future video. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.